What's up, everybody? Welcome to In the Pain Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Dan Tanner here for live watch along plus reaction to Bulls and Nuggets. And currently, the Nuggets are outscoring the Chicago Bulls 28-8 in the fourth quarter. It's a 127-112 as we watch along for the final 4.5 minutes here in the fourth quarter. Nikola Jokic has been tremendous in this game. He passes Oscar Robertson for the second most triple doubles in NBA history tonight, which was very cool to see. He got that with about 8.5 minutes to go in the third quarter as Jamal Murray. ESPN's a little bit ahead of my stream here. So that made it 127-112 with 4:10 to go. 28-8. The Nuggets are outscoring Chicago here in the fourth quarter. It has been just a masterclass for Denver here in the fourth. Excuse me, that Murray bucket made it 30-8 here in the fourth quarter. You know, there has been several fourth quarters this season where the Nuggets have gotten outscored like this in the fourth quarter. So it's good to see them return the favor as they're showing the replay here on this Jamal Murray drive. Great left-handed layup, but falls a little bit awkwardly and is limping a little bit. Not good. And Jamal goes to the bench. Now, I don't know if this is just because of the timeout, but they are, it looks like a trainer is checking on him. So we'll see what happens. My God, that's the last thing this team needs is Jamal Murray going down with some sort of injury. So hopefully it's just a tweak there with Jamal. It didn't look like anything too serious, just landed a little awkward. So we'll see what happens there with Jamal Murray. But Nuggets have lost 3 in a row. This is the final game of their 3-game East Coast road trip. So really good to see them playing well in this fourth quarter and looking like they're heading towards a win. They've got a 13-point lead as of right now with 4:05 to go. So really good to see. Cam Johnson finally back after missing 23 games. He hadn't played in a game since December 23rd at Dallas. So, my God, was that a great sight to see Cam Johnson, who's played 25 minutes tonight. You know, for a guy who hasn't played in a month and a half, I thought he played pretty well. He actually hit the first shot attempt of the game for either team. It was a 3-pointer, so that was good to see Cam get his confidence going early. And just good to have him back, especially now with Peyton Watson out for at least the next 4 weeks for this team. So, man, the injuries just continue to pile up, but they're slowly starting to get some other guys who got injured earlier in the season back. So it's just, you know, you just hope it's one of those cases where towards the end of the regular season, everything can just kind of come together and this team can be as healthy as possible as they get towards the end of the regular season and into the playoffs. So still a lot of time left in this regular season. I mean, there is, as much as the injuries have sucked this year for the Nuggets, there is plenty of time for this team to get healthy heading into the playoffs. That includes Aaron Gordon, that includes Peyton Watson. So we'll kind of see what happens here. All right, 127-112, another timeout called here. And we'll check in on this on live action when they get back from the break. A couple of notes from the game tonight while we're on a commercial break. I thought the Nuggets offense came out just absolutely electric tonight to start the game. Like I said, Cam Johnson hit the first 3 of the game. You know, I've seen a lot of people critical of this, and I've been kind of critical of this as well. When Adelman trots out the Jokic plus 4 guards lineup, hasn't really gone all that well when he's had to do that. I thought in the first quarter when he trotted that lineup out there, it was Nikola Jokic with Christian Brown, Jamal Murray, Julian Strawther, and Tim Hardaway Jr. I thought they actually played pretty well. They had the offense going pretty consistently. They were able to score. Now, the problem with that lineup is the defense definitely struggles when that's the lineup out there. And you know, it did end up struggling towards the end of the first quarter. In fact, the Nuggets ended up leading 39-36 after the first, but then the second quarter comes, which was the Nuggets' worst quarter of the game by far. The Nuggets were losing way too many 50-50 balls. We'll get to the points off turnovers here in just a second as we're back to live action here between the Nuggets and the Bulls. The Bulls throw up a prayer 3. It's a shot clock violation. It was an air ball. And that'll be Nuggets possession with 3:35 to go here in Chicago, 127 to 112. And Jamal Murray is not in there. So we'll see. At this point in the game, I don't see any reason to bring him back in unless the Bulls make a run here. So hopefully this is just a precautionary move from Adelman in regards to Jamal Murray. All right, so Nuggets turn it over, and Buzelis. Wow, Buzelis. Matas Buzelis. Really good player. He's probably been the best player for the Bulls tonight. He hits a floater there. He's got 21 points, 4 of 8 from 3. Really good young player for the Chicago Bulls team, who was by far the most active at the trade deadline, is Nikola Jokic with a sick slingshot bounce pass into the paint to Christian Braun, who was wide open and gets the layup. And then on the other end, Nikola Jokic gets the block. Great sequence there by Nikola Jokic. Good game from Christian Braun tonight, too. Good to see him produce a little bit offensively. He's been really rusty coming back from his injury. Cam Johnson from the corner with the 3. Got it. 132, 114. Timeout Chicago. 2:32 to go. And this thing is, the Nuggets are absolutely starting to run away with this. What a dominant fourth quarter here for the Nuggets. 35-10. They've outscored Chicago here in the fourth quarter. Absolutely incredible. Great to see Cam Johnson getting involved here as well. That's great. 35-10. So Nikola Jokic tonight. This almost reminds me of the last couple of years with the Nikola on court versus Nikola Jokic off the court point differential disparity. The Nuggets have been pretty good this year in the non-Jokic minutes, okay? And that's a testament to the depth they built over the offseason. Now, obviously, all the injuries they've had have kind of hurt their depth, obviously. But tonight really stood out and felt like a game from the last couple of seasons when the Nuggets didn't have much depth. Nikola Jokic tonight, plus 36, folks. He's plus 36 in 32 minutes. The end of the third quarter, Nikola went out with about 3.5 minutes to go in that third, and the Nuggets had a 5-point lead when Joker went off the floor. They ended up trailing the Bulls going into the fourth, 103-97. So they got outscored 13-2 in the final 3.5 minutes of that third quarter when Nikola Jokic went off the floor. Joker started the fourth quarter, and the Nuggets started the quarter on a 12-0 scoring run. So it's been one of those games for the Nuggets and Nikola Jokic. All right, 132-116. Colin Sexton just got a bucket. 2 minutes to go. Here's Joker in the paint, left-handed hook, short, rebounded by Christian Braun. Nice rebound there. Cam Johnson's going to have a little 7-foot floater. That's good. So 134-116. Cam Johnson's return has been solid. And Dillingham gets a floater to go. Boy, the Chicago Bulls were by far the most active team at the trade deadline. This fourth quarter is the sign of a group of basketball players that have not played together much of at all. This is almost like a brand new team here in Chicago. They made so many trades at the deadline. Nikola Jokic gets a little floater to go. Oh my God, are they calling another timeout? What are we doing? Actually, I think the Nuggets just called timeout to get the starters off the floor. This thing's over. 18-point lead here for the Nuggets on Serbian Heritage Night at the United Center in Chicago. Boy, there are a lot of Nuggets fans in the crowd. Cool to see. A lot of Serbian flags. Okay, so Joker goes out. His night's over. And Zeke Naji comes in to replace the Joker. Dillingham gets a bucket, 16-point lead, 1:10 to go. You got Jalen Pickett and Julian Strother as your backcourt. Boy, Jalen Pickett, his minutes have shrunk pretty quickly since Christian Brown and Cam Johnson have returned. And Julian Strother's emergence, I thought he was excellent tonight. So the Nuggets defense was absolutely atrocious quarters 1 through 3, but their defense here in the fourth quarter has been much, much better. And Chicago, there was a jump ball. Chicago gets possession here. Nuggets just had a lot more juice here in the fourth quarter than I was expecting. You know, for a team that just had 2 days off, shouldn't be that surprising, but it was good to see them have the urgency and the effort that they had here in the fourth quarter. And the Nuggets are just going to let the clock wind down. Snapping a 3-game losing streak are the Nuggets. Haven't had many of those this year. So the Nuggets just let it run out here, and there's 15 seconds left to go. Colin Sexton's just going to dribble it across the timeline and let the clock run down. 136 to 120 is the final in Chicago, and the Nuggets get the win over the Bulls at the United Center. There's the horn. Excellent win here for the Nuggets tonight. 16-point win. And they're showing Nikola Jokic walking off the floor. They've got Serbian flags waving in the crowd. Excellent, excellent win here for the Nuggets tonight. Boy, did they need that one. So that was game 53 on the season. We are well past the halfway point of the NBA season. And, the Nuggets were faltering a little bit heading into the NBA All-Star break. Now they are 34-19. They're still in third place in the West, shockingly, even though they just had a 3-game losing streak. This team has just been, for as injured as this team has been this year, I would say they've been just as resilient this season. Boy, has this team just fought their asses off through this injury stretch. And you got to give them a lot of credit. So look, yeah, they lose 3 in a row, starting with Oklahoma City on last Sunday. Then they lose to Detroit on Tuesday, and then obviously the Knicks on Wednesday in double overtime. But look, they've got 2 more games left until the All-Star break, where they'll be off for 8 days. You've got the Cleveland Cavaliers coming to Ball Arena, and then the Memphis Grizzlies coming to Ball Arena before the 8-day break for the All-Star break. So look, the Nuggets have a great chance of winning 3 in a row heading into the All-Star break with really good momentum. Win over a really good Cleveland team would obviously be fantastic. And then you've got the Memphis Grizzlies, who are not very good this year, and they're kind of in a rebuild themselves. So if the Nuggets are able to get these next 2 wins before the All-Star break, 8 days off, they have put themselves in a pretty good position for the final 26 games of the NBA regular season heading into the playoffs. And who knows? Will this team be healthy by then? I have no idea, but they at least have enough time. I mean, really, if you think about it, they only have 26 games after the All-Star break, but I think that's plenty of time for this team to get healthy. Hopefully Aaron Gordon, Peyton Watson are able to play a couple of games towards the end of the regular season. We'll see if that happens. And you know what? If they need to sit until the playoffs, they need to sit until the playoffs. If that's what needs to happen, then so be it. So they just got to continue to keep fighting through these injuries. Hopefully Jamal Murray is okay. I obviously going to try and hear from head coach David Adelman to see if we can get some word on what happened to Jamal Murray there towards the end of the fourth quarter. Just went up for a layup, hit a left-handed layup if you missed it, landed a little bit awkwardly. Didn't seem like anything too serious, but Jamal did go to the bench and didn't end up playing for the rest of the game. So it's just, man, this team this year, this is a wild season as far as injuries go for the Denver Nuggets. So many soft tissue injuries, bone bruises to Joker and Cam Johnson. It's just been absolutely insane. But hey, they've got Joker back. They've got Christian Brown back. Tonight we saw the return of Cam Johnson. What a great return from Cam Johnson. 27 minutes, more minutes than I thought he was going to play. 14 points on 6 of 9 shooting from the field. He was 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. 4 rebounds, had an assist, no turnovers. He was a plus 21. That was second best on the team behind Nikola Jokic's plus 36. So, boy, was it great to see Cam Johnson back out there. You know, Cam just, you forget what he adds to this team, not only offensively, but on the defensive end. He really helps orchestrate where everybody is on the defensive end. And you could see he made a difference tonight in that fourth quarter. The Nuggets outscored the Bulls 39-16 in that fourth quarter. But Cam Johnson just adds so many added elements to this basketball team on both ends of the floor. And again, you know, this is one of the reasons the Nuggets traded Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. It wasn't just his ability to shoot the 3-ball or what he can do offensively for the Denver Nuggets. It's what he's able to do defensively. He can guard multiple positions. He's a very high IQ defensive basketball player. You rarely see Cam Johnson get lost on the defensive end. I thought the Nuggets were much better at closing out on 3-point attempts. I know the Bulls hit a lot of threes tonight. They still need to work on their rotations into the corners because they're allowing way too many of those open corner threes, which is the shortest 3-point shot available on the floor. So I still would like to see them get better in that area. But I just thought their overall defensive intelligence tonight was far better with Cam Johnson in the game. And that obviously proved out. And then, you know, what he adds for this team offensively. He can slide into the corner and knock down threes. He can roll to the rim. He can play that dunker position if you need him to. Now, obviously, that's not ideal for this basketball team to have Cam Johnson playing the dunker spot. Typically, that goes to Aaron Gordon and or Peyton Watson. But the beauty of Cam Johnson is he really is like a Swiss Army knife for this team. So it was great to see him back out there tonight. Boy, compare the return of Cam Johnson versus the return of Christian Brown. I mean, it's not even close. I thought Cam Johnson's return was much better. He really didn't look rusty at all tonight. I mean, we'll see how he does over the next couple of games before the All-Star break. Okay, I'll, pump the brakes a little bit, but boy, he didn't look like he was limited on that leg where he had the bone bruise. And I thought Cam Johnson was absolutely fantastic tonight. Nikola Jokic was dominant himself, 22 points on 7 of 12 shooting, 14 rebounds, 17 assists to just 3 turnovers, put a steal in there, had 4 blocks, did Nikola Jokic tonight, and again, was a plus 36. Think about that. The Nuggets won this game by 16 points. Nikola Jokic was a plus 36. Cam was second with plus 21. Christian Brown was a plus 20. So it was the Nikola Jokic show tonight, everybody. And he always plays well against the Bulls. It seems like in Chicago, every time the Nuggets play there, it's Serbian Heritage Night. I would have to assume they do that on purpose because they know Nikola Jokic is coming to town. I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems like every single time they play in Chicago and in a lot of away NBA cities, it's Serbian Heritage Night. So I would assume that has to do with Nikola Jokic. I don't think that's just happening by chance, but he was phenomenal tonight. And a guy I really wanted to focus in on for this game and really just over the last couple of games is Julian Strawther. Boy, does he look like a completely different basketball player than what we saw earlier this season before he got hurt. And even over the last couple of weeks, up until about the last 3 or 4 games, Julian Strawther looked like, I didn't know if he had a role on this team. But over the last 3 or 4 games, he looks like a completely different player than he did earlier this season. He's getting way more downhill. cutting to the rim far more often. His confidence looks through the roof. His three-point shot looks extremely confident as well. He was 4 of 8 from 3 tonight, and every one of those threes he took, I thought was a good shot, and it looked like he was confident and thought it was going in. Boy, I tell you, I've been talking about this all year, but Julian Strawther, to me, is the X factor on this Denver Nuggets team. If Julian Strawther can have a performance like he did tonight and over the last couple of games, I'm telling you, it adds a completely different dynamic to this Nuggets offense. You've got to assume that Tim Hardaway is going to give you what he's been giving this team throughout the course of the regular season. He's definitely their best bench player, best shooter off the bench, no doubt about it. He was fantastic again tonight. He had 23 points on 6 of 11 shooting, 3 of 8 from the field. But I thought Tim Hardaway was great in the first half specifically. He had 18 points in the first half, and I thought Tim Hardaway was the reason that the Nuggets were still in this thing at halftime, because besides Nikola Jokic, everybody else was struggling. I mean, Jamal Murray and Christian Braun combined for 11 points at halftime. I mean, that's your starting backcourt, essentially. I know Julian Strawther technically was the guard starting tonight, but your two guards combined for 11 points at halftime, that's usually not a good sign as far as winning a basketball game. But luckily for the Nuggets, Tim Hardaway was able to come off the bench and really produce like we've seen him do all season. 23 points total tonight. But again, those 18 points in the first half, I thought really helped keep the Nuggets afloat. And ultimately, they were able to pull away with this one in the fourth quarter. And, towards the end of the third and into the fourth, Julian Strawther started to heat up. He finishes the game with 19 points on 7 of 14 shooting. 5 rebounds, too, by the way, for Julian Strawther. I thought the Nuggets guards did a really good job rebounding the basketball tonight. Julian had 5, Christian had 4, Jamal had 3. So, when your guards, Tim Hardaway had 3, Bruce Brown had 3. I mean, that's, 13, 14 rebounds from your guards tonight. That is massive. That's taken a lot of pressure off Jonas Valanciunas and Nikola Jokic and your bigger players when your guards are rebounding that well. And I thought the Nuggets guards did a really good job of getting to the glass tonight, hanging around the rim until that rebound was secured. And it's so beneficial when guards are rebounding for your basketball team. And you used to hear Michael Malone talk about this all the time. David Adelman mentions this. You got to get your guards involved on the glass. And I thought the Nuggets did a really good job of that tonight. So another area that I was really impressed with. But boy, it's just Julian Strawther was super impressive tonight. Again, he's a guy where I'm going to need to see more of this more consistently to really trust him. But if he continues to play the way he's been playing over the last couple of games, not only is he going to get himself more minutes, he's going to get himself into serious contention as far as being permanently solidified in the rotation down the stretch of this regular season and into the playoffs. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough because, right now, Christian Braun and Julian Strawther are kind of like who's going to get the minutes here between these guys. Now tonight it was 33 minutes for Julian and 32 for Christian Braun. And I guess Jalen Pickett's just kind of on the outs. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. But that's kind of what this is it seems like David Adelman has decided to go with Julian Strawther over Jalen Pickett. Now, I get it. Jalen Pickett is a point guard and Julian Strawther is a shooting guard. So there's that dynamic. And it was a little bit of a different story tonight because Julian Strawther started the game. So you slide Jamal Murray, into the point guard role. Julian Strawther's the 2, Christian Braun's the 3, Cam's the 4, and Nikola Jokic is the 5. Boy, I thought that starting lineup actually looked pretty decent tonight for guys that haven't played a whole lot of basketball together this season. But best case scenario for the Nuggets, when/if hopefully they get healthy down the stretch, Julian is going to be in an ideal world for the Nuggets. He's going to be the guy that it's him and Tim Hardaway and Jonas Valanciunas coming off the bench and being the second unit that can score the basketball. I mean, that's my biggest concern with the second unit outside of Tim Hardaway Jr., obviously, is can they score enough to keep up while Nikola Jokic and the rest of the starters are off the floor? That's kind of my biggest concern. And during the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised at all when the Nuggets second unit comes in, if they really hone in on Tim Hardaway and double team him and force him to get the ball out of his hands. You're going to have another shooter come off the bench and be able to knock down shots. And I'm telling you, Julian Strawther needs to be that guy. He's played in enough games. This is his third or fourth year in the NBA. This is where Julian Strawther needs to take the next step in his NBA development and become that guy. And the guy I've seen over the last couple of games, like I've said, compared to what we saw earlier in the season, looks like a completely different basketball player. So big props to Julian Strawther tonight. I thought he was excellent. And again, I think he's one of the most important players for the Nuggets, just as far as their ability to produce when Nikola Jokic is off the floor and be that bench guy that can come in and knock down shots other than Tim Hardaway. That's kind of where I'm at with Julian Strawther. They need to have that guy other than Hardaway that can come in off the bench and be that, sort of lightning strike offensive player and get things going. So that was great to see. All right, let's get to some of your comments here. I'm waiting on David Adelman to pop up. I'd like to hear what the head coach has to say. Let's see here. What happened to Murray? So if you missed it, Jamal, it was like 3 minutes and 15 seconds or so roughly to go in the fourth quarter. Went up for a layup, left-handed layup, made the shot, and just sort of landed awkwardly. It looked like it was his left leg. He was just limping a little bit. Look, I'm just saying this from my eyeballs. It didn't look all that serious. Now, who knows? I mean, I have no idea. But it didn't look all that serious. And Jamal goes to the bench. This game was basically over at that point. Nuggets call a timeout. It might have been Chicago timeout. I don't even remember. And he didn't end up coming back into the game. So obviously there's a concern level there. But, the good news for Jamal is if he's not able to go over the next couple of games, that'll give him, close to 2 weeks of rest. So 2 weeks of rest where he's only missing 2 games. Now, again, he could be in there Monday night against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I have no idea. So hopefully Jamal's okay. Golly, would it be just at some point? I've been saying this all season long, and it's just hasn't happened yet. But at some point, the injury luck has to swing back in the Nuggets' favor because it has been going against them all season. So, like I said, we'll keep an eye out. In fact, let's see if David Adelman has any sort of update on Jamal. He just walked up to the podium. So let me share my screen here, and we'll hear from the head coach of the Denver Nuggets, David Adelman.
I just thought we played with more purpose defensively, and then the effort was better. The 50-50 balls early was embarrassing. That was why they were ahead in the game. I thought they played harder than us throughout the first half. And then I thought we atoned for that. And then we had great effort in the second half defensively. Even the third quarter where they scored all those points, I didn't think it was for a lack of effort. I thought they just made shots. And they're playing very free. Obviously, a lot of guys new here with a chance and an opportunity that's new. You know what it's going to be like. Going to give great effort. So they played super hard. And that staff does a great job. I mean, all those guys have a deep respect for, obviously, Coach Donovan. But, I know we can score, especially with some of our main guys back. But the effort and the 50-50 got a lot better as the game went on, which gives you extra possessions. And now you can score a lot more if you actually have the ball instead of giving it back to them, kicking it around. Much better in the second half.
8 players in double figures. What does it say about the way you guys won this game?
Yeah, the guys just moved the ball correctly. The open man wins mentality. Our 2 best players had 28 assists combined, which is a crazy number. And obviously that's capped off on a night where we really shared it well with 37 assists. Nikola passing Oscar Robertson, which is just absolutely insane to me. So it's a really good bounce back win after, a tough loss in New York. And the loss to Detroit was also a difficult one. So I was just happy that they found enough energy in the second half to get this done.
how much of what you were communicating to them throughout the game was about sort of the possession battle between the turnovers that you guys committed and some of their offensive rebounding that was just leading to them getting more shots up throughout the night?
Yeah, I have no idea what I was saying, but it wasn't very instructive. It was very frustrated. It was just, how many times can you play good defense and then allow them to have a second and third chance at it, which is a skill, man. It's coming up with the ball. And you hear coaches when you're growing up, two-hand rebounds, at the highest point, dive when you need to protect your legs, all these things that everybody's like, oh, yeah. And that's true. Like, getting the ball wins you games. So we did that better in the second half. And like I said, offensively, we were organized throughout when we got it. But yeah, I don't want to say we were complacent, but we just gave them way too many opportunities. And obviously it got better as the game went on, like I said.
Why did Julian thrive the way he did tonight?
Yeah, Jules has been trending. He's had, even in his bit minutes, his rhythm, it seems like it's back. The confidence with the ball handling. He was very, very clear-minded tonight just to shoot the ball when he's open, which I love. When guys hesitate, that's when you start to worry about him, especially a guy like him that can really score the basketball. So another guy that, you throw him out there in the starting lineup, see what he can do, and he gets you 19 points, 5 rebounds. He's a plus 14. So, yeah, and I thought defensively in the second half, he sat down and guarded. So it was a lot of positives from Julian. There has been as of late. And tonight was one of those nights where he really, he's aggressive and, like I said, clear-minded with how he played.
Jamal looked like he was a little tender on one of his ankles at the end. Is he okay?
Yeah, it was his hip. I don't know if he just over-committed with, but I went back and talked to him. He seemed confident he's okay. Obviously, we'll get him checked out. It just didn't make any sense once we got up, double digits to even bring him back once he came in the back. So I'll be honest, man, this is just becoming every night thing for us. There's always somebody walking to the back. So hopefully this one is different than the other ones. And it's just he's just kind of banged up and he'll be ready in a couple of days.
Good evening, Nikola Stojkovic, Moca Sport Serbia. I would like to ask you, Nikola Jokic had his 182nd triple-double of his NBA career. How much of a value does it add to his whole legacy, basketball legacy that he already has?
Yeah, I said this the other night, for people out there, educate yourself about who Oscar Robertson is and really take a deep dive into what he was and how he changed the game at the guard position. And here's our center breaking that record, and obviously Russ is way out there. But it just speaks to just the uniqueness of who he's been in our league. And it's changed what the position means to be center. It's the ultimate positionless center in the history of the game. There's no arguing that. And it's just, it's a treat to watch. And, your center is 17 assists in a basketball game. That just doesn't happen unless it's him. So really, really proud to be here to see it and have seen him over this decade of what he's done. It's a legendary run. And to be in that conversation with Oscar and then pass him is just absolutely unbelievable what he's done. So
Okay, there he is, Nuggets head coach David Adelman after the 136-120 victory for the Denver Nuggets. Good news there in regards to Jamal Murray. Adelman said he overextended on his hip, tweaked it, said he went back and talked to him. Jamal said he's feeling okay, thinks he should be good to go. So good news there. Now, knocking on wood here, but obviously with the way things have gone for this team this season, you got to hold your breath in circumstances like this. And you heard Adelman just say it there. It's just like every night it seems like somebody's going back to the locker room with something. But as far as updates go, it seemed pretty positive versus all of the other updates we've gotten. And Adelman said hopefully Jamal is good to go in a couple days when the Nuggets match up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, I'll take that for some positive news on the injury front for Jamal Murray. So we'll see what happens. Jamal's a tough dude. He's been pretty healthy so far this season. And we'll see if he can give it a go. So as far as possible things Adelman could have said there, that was probably the most positive that we could have heard there from the head coach of the Denver Nuggets. So good news-ish from the Nuggets. Now, obviously, Jamal is slated to play in the All-Star game. So we'll see if he ends up playing in the All-Star game. I mean, if he plays in the next 2 games, I would expect he plays in the All-Star game. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Jamal Murray. I'm a proponent of Joker and Jamal not playing in the All-Star game. If you've listened to the show before, I'm pretty adamant in my position about that. But the NBA is not going to like it if those 2 dudes are healthy and not going to play in the All-Star game. But hey, we'll see what happens. If Jamal's good to go in the All-Star game, that obviously means he's hopefully healthy. So, yeah, positive news there for the Nuggets and Jamal Murray. And then obviously you heard Adelman ask there about Nikola Jokic passing Oscar Robertson, the Big O, in the all-time career triple-doubles list. He is now second all-time, just behind former teammate of Nikola Jokic, Russell Westbrook. And it was cool to hear Adelman there like, hey, if you've never seen the Big O play, go watch some and do a deep dive into him and how good he really was, to sort of give you some context on how rare and how special it is what Nikola Jokic is doing right now in his career. He is truly becoming one of the best players of all time. Now, he's got to get a couple more titles if he wants to truly be in that conversation. But just looking at the numbers and the records, and every time he's setting a record, he's passing Oscar Robertson or Wilt Chamberlain or Larry Bird or Magic Johnson, some of the all-time greats. What Nikola Jokic has done throughout his career has just been extraordinary. And again, tonight, like plus 36 for Nikola Jokic, and the Nuggets win by 16. That is absolutely special. So what else can you say about Nikola Jokic? Thank God they have him back. By the way, he wasn't wearing the sleeve on his left leg, so that was good to see. That I would assume that's a sign that Joker's starting to feel better and better. He's starting to look more confident on his spin moves towards the rim. His timing is still a tick off. There was that spin move he had in the first half where he was like a split second off on his timing and just kind of lost balance and lost control of the basketball and turned it over. But slowly but surely, we're starting to see Nikola Jokic round back into form, and he's just still the best player on the planet. So it's been awesome to see Nikola Jokic do what he does. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for the post-game show tonight. Thanks so much for listening as the Nuggets get the 136-120 victory over the Chicago Bulls. Quick look at the standings here real quick before we get out of here. So the Nuggets are now 34-19 on the season. They are now 2.5 games back of the Spurs for the 2 seed, and they're a full game up on the Houston Rockets, who are in the 4 seed right now. The Lakers are in the 5 seed at 31-19, and the Timberwolves are in the 6 seed at 32-21. The Thunder lost tonight. They've lost 2 in a row. They're 5-5 over their last 10. So Nuggets just 6 games back of the Thunder. The Spurs are only 3.5 back of the Thunder. I mean, how insane would it be to see the San Antonio Spurs catch the Oklahoma City Thunder after the start in the regular season that the defending champs have had this year? It's been a little bit of a bad stretch here for OKC. So we'll see if that continues. And if the Nuggets can get, 2 more wins before the All-Star break, they'll be 36-19 with 26 games to go. They are in prime position to get a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. But we'll be back on Monday night to react to Nuggets and Cavs, as the Nuggets will welcome newest Cav James Harden to town, as he was acquired by the Cleveland Cavaliers over the trade deadline in a trade with the Clippers that sent guard Darius Garland to the LA Clippers. So we'll definitely be tuned in for that one, and we'll have your reaction right here on In the Paint. We'll see you then.